Hello. Welcome back to the People Often Suck podcast, where we bring you true stories of some of the most awful people, while also giving credit to the unsung heroes out there. I'm Tom, and with me, as always,
is your better podcast half TC.
Yeah, that's debatable.
Hey, that is not debatable. It is a proven scientific fact.
Oh. Before we begin, I just want to ask all of you to please do us a huge favor. Slap the like button. Don't tap it. Don't flick it. Just slap it. Slap it like it owes you money. Leave us a comment. Share us with somebody you know, friends, neighbors.
I'm getting visuals of this being kind of a naughty thing. Slap it.
I didn't intend to go there.
Oh, okay.
I'm just amped up. All the caffeine's hitting my blood.
Well, if the audience only knew that we're now doing this episode twice because it didn't record the first time.
Yeah. Womp womp. So, with that said, if you could also follow us on Facebook, follow us on X. We do put up updates when the next episode's coming up. We also put up some silly posts. And quite frankly, I need validation, so I really need those likes.
Aw, I didn't realize you needed all those type of validations in life.
Oh, you don't know me. So, you want to get started?
I guess so. Well, before we jump in with the first story, which is yours, by the way, we should probably take a few points and chit-chat about season 1, because we are actually truly the podcasters now. In fact, I remember you saying that one time when we were in the car and we had published our first few episodes on podcasts, networks. And you said, we're podcasters. And I had to stop for a moment and I said, I don't know if that actually makes me feel good or bad, but I guess we are podcasters. But the first season, we've gotten a lot of great positive feedback. I mean, I know you have.
I mean, yeah, it's surreal. Honestly, it's really surreal. You're trying something different. You put yourself out there, and you're in your own head. You think the worst, like, oh, I sucked at this, but people come up to you and say, "Oh my gosh, that was really fun. I really liked listening to that." And it's like, "Oh, well,
yeah." One of the biggest takeaways is they liked our bantering.
Yeah,
they said you guys made it feel like we're in the room with you, and that you two are good, old friends that are just sharing stories and laughing along the way, and of course sometimes not laughing along the way.
Well, and this is basically, like I tell people, this is basically how we talk to each other.
It is. We took the basic concept of what you and I used to always do at our dinner time, working at Disney in the evenings, and we just decided to record it.
Yeah.
Of course, we probably had a few choice words back then versus now, but yes.
Yeah, there was a lot more colorful language, I guess you could say.
I mean, we weren't longshoremen, but we weren't necessarily always PG clean like we are on the podcast. But yeah.
Yeah. And well, also another good feedback was how professional we sounded. And honestly, all that credit goes to our producer, Mark.
Oh, yeah.
Who
100%.
was our special guest in episode 10.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And he made the famous lemon drop drinks. So if you ever want a Mark's lemon, I think you actually coined a name for him, didn't you? Mark's lemon.
No, I just called him Mark's hard lemonade.
Yeah, there you go. Hard lemonade. He should actually bottle that, and he can make a lot of money, I'm telling you.
Well, yeah, I mean, if he really pushes the fact that he's got a star on the Walk of Fame. It's like, this is the drink of stars.
That's true. That's true. I mean, you and I will never have a star on the Walk of Fame, but
not officially. I mean,
not officially. The one that you actually penciled in with dry erase or whatever is long gone. They've cleaned it off by now.
But I think it still counts.
Yeah, you at least got a picture of yourself in front of it. That's great.
So, well, with that being said, we're going to do a little different this season. Hopefully it works out. We're going to be a little bit more raw, a little bit more organic. Organic.
I can definitely have fun with
It's already starting.
Yes. So, okay. Well,
Yeah, so we're just going to also, to kind of give Mark a break from spending hours upon hours of having to clean up and edit us. Because, yeah, if you ever had to talk to us in real life, we do not sound that good.
no, Mark made us sound really, really, really good. So I think in a long, roundabout, winded way, we're saying that this season's going to be more organic and raw, and that hopefully you all will be accepting of that side of us and not have so many of the pauses removed and some of the, I don't know. I think hopefully it'll be fun, and you guys will all find that to be fun. But on a little bit of a different note, we did want to pay tribute. In our last episode of season 1, the happy story at the end was about Tiki, the little black and white cat that was blind and fell into the icy waters up in Massachusetts, and the 2 Samaritans who were amazing in rescuing her before she pretty much expired. A 20-year-old cat has had many 9 live moments, and that was one of them. And so out of that came a great conversation. We recorded that episode back in December of 2024. And at the time, both Tom and I had very close family pets of ours that we talked about. Humperdinck, who is a beautiful, amazing, wonderful dog, family member to Tom and Lisa, and then Spot on my side, a black and white cat as well, 20 years old, but very much could see and definitely very vocal. And unfortunately, when that episode aired finally at the end of March of 2025, we had both lost our pets. So we dedicated the episode 10 of season 1 to Humperdinck and to Spot. And we just wanted to mention that they are no longer with us. But episode 10 at least was a nice little fitting tribute as we talked very fondly about our family members. We truly believe that they are family members to us, and I'm sure many of you out there do as well. So we say goodbye to them as they're in heaven waiting for us to see them again one day. But on a happier note...
Yeah, on a happier note, we are still planning to do special guests for episode 10. And TC has already got one lined up for us, which is really no shock that this is, once again, somebody he knows.
Means nothing.
Yeah. Well, the whole reason we're even here is because he knew Mark. I didn't know Mark. And his next guest, which we're not going to spoil, he also knows and had worked with him. And I'm excited for it. So I'm very much looking forward to that 10th episode. And
yeah, it didn't take much convincing him at all. We'll say it's a he.
Spoiler.
Well, one little spoiler, but he is very well known in the Los Angeles area. And like I said, in the phone conversation, it didn't take much effort to convince him. He hadn't even listened to one of our episodes yet. So... But the idea of bantering with us about true crime stories and having some adult beverages, that actually, I think, won him over more than me. So we cannot wait to have him in studio for our episode 10 of season 2.
Yeah.
But with all that said, one last thing before we get into our first story is while we are very excited about how season 1 went, and so far, the reaction has been very positive. We know that there are 1 million podcasts out there. And a lot of them, if they don't already have a name behind them, oftentimes will sit out there attracting 5 or 10, 20 listeners if they're lucky and whatnot. And by the way, I learned in season 1, I say whatnot too many times. So, you might need to get a squirt bottle and shoot me every time I say it to break me of that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you don't have one right now, so that's why I said it. So don't even think about it.
I could just throw this empty can at you.
The empty can at me. Anyhow. So if you, who was made up our audience of many of our friends and family members, and even some people who just discovered us on the various podcast platforms, share us with your friends and family. The more that, it's that old saying, tell two friends and they'll tell two friends and so on and so on and so on. And then before you know it, we'll have an audience. And that's what will help us. For Tom and I, we are currently doing this, out of pocket on our own. And it certainly would help us to, if we can grow the audience to a certain size, and this is an industry standard, it's not our definition, then we can begin to try to monetize the podcast and help us to cover our expenses. So please help us by sharing. We would love that. It would help us out greatly. As I've said many times, help us out. Help us out if you can. But with that said, I think people are not here to hear us talk and go on and on and on about...
Get to the good stuff.
Yeah, get to the good stuff. And so I think we're ready for our first POS story, which, Tom, you have.
Yeah, I do. And this POS, really biting my tongue on this one. Okay. This one just... Okay. Season 1, I think it was episode 8. You talked about the dark web people who were selling just awful videos about...
yes.
Yeah. So,
in fact, that was one of the feedback is, if that's the same one, it's where I had mentioned, and a good learning lesson for us, I had mentioned one aspect of that POS of where they put their foot on the animal, and I'm not going to go any further.
Yeah.
So with that good feedback, we're going to be more mindful about not getting too graphic in our stories.
Right. So I'm going to have to clean up my language right now because when I wrote this, I wrote it in great detail.
In great detail. Okay, good.
Yeah. So this is about a woman in Upper Darby, Philadelphia, not Florida. So
wow. So you gave Florida a break.
Yeah.
The first episode of season 2, Florida is not, well, it's mentioned now, but it's not a story.
Yeah. And
go Florida.
Said nobody.
Wow. Now be nice. Be nice.
That was nice. Anyway, this woman's name, and I did this to myself, her name's Anagar Monsi.
Well, that sounds fine. I mean, I know you and I suck at saying names, but that sounded pretty good.
I mean, it sounds good in my head. So, anyway.
Just wait until we get to my story, but go ahead.
So, she was arrested in January 2024 for multiple counts of aggravated animal cruelty after torturing and mutilating animals for likes on YouTube. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Which I'm like, I was kind of blown away. It's like on YouTube, because you think like, oh, they got people scouring YouTube to keep that kind of stuff off. You would be so shocked to find out what actually slips through and is on YouTube and has been on YouTube for a while, honestly.
Really?
Yeah. They don't catch everything.
Well, I mean, so going back to season 1, episode 10, we did share a little bit about that. The killers in my story actually put a video out that you can find on YouTube of them talking about killing Cassie and, you know, how excited they were and all that. And they're going to be famous because this was part of their kill list and blah, blah, blah. This is where I don't understand how YouTube is not being responsible enough to try to remove some of these things, because you know a lot of the motivation behind this, not exactly all of it, but some of the motivation behind this is for fame. It's for recognition. It's that instant gratification of people who are following it and commenting on it.
They're too laser focused on naughty words.
Well,
because that's what the algorithm trips up on.
Yeah, but doing harm to animals, let alone people, is just, is just crappy.
Yeah.
That's why I actually wanted to say a curse word. Anyways.
Yeah, which is It's very hard, people. When you look up these people,
Yes, it is.
it is very hard to bite your tongue on this one. So Anagar, who's not even in her 30s yet, she was posting these videos over the course of a year. So it's not like she was, mass producing them. It was over the course of a year, and she would, and I'm going to clean this up. She slowly harmed animals while they were still alive. And she could be seen killing rabbits, chickens, frogs, and pigeons. And she would do this while she was like scantily clad and provocatively dressed,
Wait a minute.
again for likes and money.
This sounds like a weird sexual fetish type thing.
Oh God, it actually is. It actually is. It's called crush videos.
So there's really a term behind this, which means that there's other people who do this.
Yes, this is actually a thing, and
I thought
hurts
furries,
me to learn this.
I thought furries was bad enough, but I'll take a furry.
You'll take a furry any day
over a crusher. Absolutely,
and we're gonna clip that and post that.
Don't take it out of context now, people.
That's the only thing we're gonna do now.
But that's happy furry people. I mean, yes, they do some weird things, but that's a happy furry person compared to this person who is purposely harming animals.
Yeah. Well, oddly enough, the people who reported her are, in my opinion, villains as well. It was PETA.
Well, the one literal time that I actually agree with PETA on that.
Yeah,
Good.
they actually did something good for a change.
Good.
Because if you're not aware, it's the People for Ethical Treatment of Animals, which the name sounds great.
Yeah, the name in and of itself is absolutely correct. We
Except-
should be always treating animals with an ethical nature.
Except these buttholes also end up killing a lot of animals in their wake of... That's a whole other story.
Yeah, that's a whole other story.
But okay.
Maybe there'll be a POS story
They did one good thing. Let's just...
Yes, they did.
So PETA led the police to her using clues and background details from the videos that she posted. Also going through the comment section. So they were actually able to kind of like geolocate her based on all that.
Good. I mean, that's good investigation.
Yeah. I mean, again, sometimes the internet
Does
does
something
good.
Yeah, exactly.
So when she was brought in, she actually admitted to being the woman in these videos. So I'm like, okay, case closed, right?
Right.
So they're playing these videos to her, and she actually became visibly upset and requested that one of the videos be shut off. Like,
Visibly upset
Jerk,
at
that's
the
you.
thing that you did at some point previously.
yeah. Yeah, I seriously doubt she made these videos and then started crying in the shower afterwards. I doubt that was the case.
Wow.
Yeah, so that happened in January 2024, and as of this recording, which we're in April, she's still awaiting trial.
That is some
Even
legal
though yeah,
system.
and she's admitted it too, so I would think like, okay, case closed, right? Just lock her up. That's it. No, apparently not.
But it all depends. What did she plead? Did she plead guilty, or did she plead like insanity, or what did she plead? That's where it's getting caught up in the judicial system.
Yeah. So she's out on bail as of now, and she's being charged with 4 counts of aggravated cruelty to animals. Now, small note. This isn't a political stance or anything. I'm just stating the facts. Back in 2019, President Trump signed into law a bipartisan bill. So both sides agreed on this. In fact, they were ecstatic, and I'm actually shocked that it didn't happen until 2019. Like, this wasn't a thing yet.
Well, and don't forget, back in 2019, the House and the Senate were both under Democrat majority. So that shows you the bipartisanship of this bill, whatever you're about to say, was supported. That's great.
Well, it's called the Preventing Animal Cruelty and Torture Act. So it's making these crush videos such as what she was making, a felony.
Good.
Yeah. And that's
For once, the government, and again, not a fan of both sides, but for once, the government actually did something right. That's great.
Well, a broken clock is
right twice a day.
Yep.
Yes.
Yep. So that means
it should be a felony. Absolutely.
Yeah. How was it not?
Yeah. All these decades, you're right.
Yeah.
But then again, I also don't think that we didn't have this as a problem 20 years ago, 30 years ago. I mean, I know there was the one guy, what was his name? Famous guy who was caught he was doing the dog fights.
Oh. Is it Vic?
Wasn't it? Yeah. And
yeah. He was a football player.
Yes,
right?
he was a football player, and he got caught because he had these illegal dog fights that were going on. And 100% throw the book at him too. And I'm glad that they did basically, initially. But he of course is a multimillionaire, and
millions wasn't enough for him apparently.
Yeah, but also to have dog fights, I mean, that's just horrific. Any of that stuff,
yeah,
I can't stand.
Any animal fights, honestly.
Right.
So now that's a felony. She is basically looking at up to 7 years per count.
Wow.
So 7 times 4. Math
so
is fun.
She could definitely be in prison until her mid to 50s. Yeah, mid to late 50s. So basically her productive adult years, per se, would be gone.
Yeah. Oh, and it doesn't end there because there's also going to be fines involved too. So she's pretty much going to,
all that money she made off of, her videos.
God, I hope it wasn't a lot of money. That just is
Well, that's
really
the sad part, is the fact that social media and things like YouTube allow an outlet for these true POSs out there. We've already did one story we did 2 stories back in season 1, and now you have this one here. It gives a platform. I'm not taking the accountability of what these individuals did off of them and move it to social media, but social media has become the platform for these psychopaths who think that it gives them some sort of momentary fame. It feeds into the whole self-gratification where people are, tuning in and watching or commenting or whatnot. God, I did it again. Whatnot. I hate that stupid phrase. Anyhow, and you're picking up the can right now and getting ready to throw it at me. Don't even attempt.
There's still a little bit left in there, so I'm about to waste it.
So I think that those audience members are mini POSs in this overall story because they're only helping to give this person that self-gratification that I got to do more. And the thing is you said it was frogs, rabbits, pigeons.
Chickens.
That's not going to be enough after a certain amount of time.
No.
It's going to graduate into bigger animals.
Yeah, and I don't know where she started. I mean, for all I know, she started with frogs and moved up to chickens and rabbits.
So just all of that makes me so angry. And if I'm not mistaken, I think I have actually read this somewhere, that a lot of killers in society, killers meaning murderers of people,
started with animals. Oh yeah.
Start
small.
It's a weird. Now I don't know if this particular POS was going to go down that route. And regardless, it doesn't matter if they did or not, she did or not in this case. Just the fact that she was doing it shows that she has a lack of care or consideration or even that mutual love for another life.
Don't forget, she was doing it while in lingerie.
Which is also even that much more can you add any more weirdness to the story of her, that you're in lingerie doing this? You're a freak.
Well, yes, but also the people who are enjoying this content, there's something wrong with them too.
Castrate all of them.
Honestly.
I'm saying castrate all of them.
What happened? Were you not hugged enough as a child? Really? How do you get into that? How?
You know what? I beg those people, go just be a furry, because at least you're not harming another animal. You're dressing up like an animal, but you're not harming another animal. Well, some of them are if you look at what they kind of do to each other. But anyhow, I think at the end of the day, this is I know that we do murder stories on here and those type of similar type of cases, which is horrible in of itself. I think you and I have joked before that we cry more at an animal that has been killed in a movie than we do sometimes the people.
John Wick was totally justified in what he did.
Well, yeah, what they did to his dog, absolutely. Yeah. I would have joined him right alongside. Yeah. Like, give me a gun. I don't know how to shoot it, but give me a gun.
200 people for one puppy? Yep.
So, yeah, good story, Tom. Yeah. Unfortunately,
you gonna try and top that?
A sucky opening to our season.
Oh, you gotta start big.
Well, that's pretty much how we are. Is we have sucky stories on People Often Suck, right?
Oh, I just got the connection.
Now you get it. Okay, finally, season 2, and you finally wake up and get the connection.
Well, at least it wasn't like 4 or 5.
Yes. Well, my story, and as you did actually a pretty good job with the name, so I'm going to give you credit on that one in your story. But if you are a listener of season 1, you certainly have heard how we butcher names, and I probably take the award for butchering names the most.
Menendez.
Shut up! I cannot believe that you never corrected me during episode 1 on that one. Menendez brothers. Menendez.
I think I was just, I was nervous. I was in the moment, so I wasn't really paying a whole lot of attention to how you're pronouncing the name.
I cannot believe that you wouldn't. See, this is where the difference between a good friend who cares and a POS friend.
Oh, I definitely don't care.
I know. So you're a POS friend.
Okay.
Whatever. So
I'm not losing sleep.
I do think I did say Menendez at one point, finally.
I think once.
Oh, jeez. Okay.
Maybe at the beginning.
That's why I don't go back and listen to that. But then again, you never introduced yourself in that first episode. So there you go.
I don't want people to track me down.
Well, they do now. So my story took place over, knowing that I have a hard time with names, I went ahead and picked a story from Belgium. So.
Oh, you're starting easy, right?
Yeah, absolutely. So I want to say the name, I think, is Francois. We're just going to say Francis to make it easier. But Francois, the last name, Michaux.
Sound it out.
Michaux. Michaux. And now I've had probably Marcus, who is like, I know the name. No, actually, Mike would actually be the one who would tell me how exactly that's supposed to be pronounced.
Is Mike Belgian?
No, he just happens to know 17 different languages around the world. He's also a chef by nature. And I did that as a joke. He's going to laugh at that one. Anyhow, Francis, this is a not so happy story of an unfortunate, brutal murder that took place in her retirement home located in the countryside of Belgium. And if you look at the picture, it's actually a beautiful countryside home that if you go to our social media, you can actually see, because you'll see the picture that Tom just saw. So what happened is kind of, almost like a scene out of the movie Knives Out,
good
which
movie.
You and I love that movie.
That was a good movie.
Yeah, great movie. What's his name? Who wrote it and directed it? Ryan Johnson. Yeah. He got credit. He received credit back after kind of messing up Star Wars. But so you did a good job on Knives Out. We'll give him that one.
I guess.
No comment.
I guess.
No. Okay. Give that to him. Okay. He did a damn good job. That was it's original movie.
Does a right make up for a wrong?
Well,
at that point, you're just
the Star Wars one was a pretty big wrong. So you're right.
Yeah.
Okay. On that one. Okay. Still a damn good movie. So Francois. So she lived in the like a quiet luxury of the countryside of Belgium, as I mentioned, with her husband, Yves. Why would you laugh? I think that is how you pronounce it. Yves.
Spell it.
Yves. Yves.
Or is it
Thankfully,
Yves?
I don't. No, it's not that.
Maybe the Y is silent.
I think it's Yves. Again, I will get corrected on that one. I can guarantee.
Do I need to bring up Google?
You might need to, but
Maybe later.
So Yves was a wealthy heir to his father's fortune. So Francois was actually Yves' third wife. In a previous marriage, Yves had a daughter. Her name is Anne Cornu. I'm sure that's right. So sadly, in 2011, Yves passed away. That is not the murder situation. He just simply passed away. But unfortunately, after his death, the life of Francois turned dark over the next 2 years until her untimely and gruesome death in the fall of 2013. So, as I mentioned before, Yves had a daughter, Anne, who is the stepdaughter of Francois. Now, this wealth that Yves had and was eventually divvied up in the inheritance, it was split between Francois and Anne. That inheritance included the wealth of a villa in Spain. So you got this beautiful countryside home in Belgium, and you have this villa in Spain, and 1.5 million euros. So he had some money. I would think that Anne should be happy with her portion of the inheritance.
You would think, but if she was, I guess you wouldn't be talking about her.
That's true. Although you don't know the plot twist. So don't assume anything, mister.
It's in Belgium. I assume it involves chocolate.
Well, I wish we had some chocolate right now because I could go for that. But no, it has nothing to do with chocolate. So Anne wasn't happy about splitting her inheritance. And okay, so you got the plot twist. She plotted with a former live-in partner of 10 years, his name Edward, to help murder Francois. Now, Anne and Edward did not actually want to get their hands dirty. They wanted to hire a quote-unquote professional.
Oh, yeah.
However, before they got to that part, Anne and Edward, they don't really have a great history themselves.
Oh, do tell.
Yeah, well, they committed for over 10 years in France several thefts. So they already have sticky fingers themselves. So it wasn't like this was much of a stretch for Anne to think about wanting to do some harm to someone else over money.
So they went from shoplifting to murder.
Yes. And of course, her former live-in partner of 10 years certainly had no problem joining in on that as well. Interestingly enough, the two, Anne and Edward, actually broke up or split up after Anne was shot in the stomach by I'm not laughing on that part, but what I'm about to say, was shot in the stomach by a member of the Postiche gang.
Okay, so being shot in the belly, was it enough of a wake-up call for her?
No, Edward was like, I'm the hell out of here, and Anne didn't realize maybe I should change my ways. Because in the dirty world of crime, you ended up getting yourself shot by this gang.
Yeah. She didn't think maybe I should just focus on making chocolates?
Yeah, maybe like my dad died and maybe I should get to know Francois more and build a better relationship with my stepmother. No, not at all. The former lovers reunited in 2012, and they had plotted this plan to make it look like a burglar had broken into the Belgian countryside house, murdered Francois for whatever reason, and there you go. Case closed, and Anne will get her, the remaining amount of inheritance that went to Francois.
I don't think that's how it works.
Well, in her head it does. You know these guys never really think things out. You realize that, right?
Oh, I'm aware. That's why it's so entertaining.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not sure that any of these bad guys ever think anything through. So Anne and Edward hired a guy named Gregory Dumont. That name I can say easily. Gregory Dumont to carry out the murder to hire plot. So on the evening of October 11, 2013, Gregory entered the home where he shot and killed Francois and then staged the scene as if it was a break-in. Okay, pretty straightforward, right?
Oh, yeah, super easy.
I mean, if you're an expert, you pretty much should have covered all of your tracks, right?
I mean, yeah, if you're an expert.
Well, apparently Gregory was not an expert. Now, you know, over in Europe, a lot of them smoke. A lot of people smoke in Europe.
That sounds reductive.
So what do you think you left behind?
Ooh, I'm going to say a half-eaten bar of chocolate.
A Belgian chocolate, yes. It was actually a cigarette butt.
Of chocolate?
Just a cigarette butt, which has, of course, his DNA on it. There was also gunshot residue on her car. And then when there was a lot of suspicion about this Gregory Dumont, when the investigation looked into it more, they were able to see financial transactions that exposed the carefully planned crime.
Don't leave a trail, people. Jeez.
Yes, that's where money under your mattress works. So on January 29, 2014, Gregory was arrested. Like the little rat that he was, you think that he kept it all to himself and didn't divulge anything?
Well, he's an expert. So, I mean...
He's an expert witness.
Yeah.
So, of course, under pressure, he confessed everything, implicating Anne and Edward, for the plot.
Right.
Now, Edward was smart in the sense by getting the hell out of the country as quickly as he could.
That's smart.
So it took a little time for them, to catch up to him and catch him. In fact, all the way until October 2019, they caught him in France. He went back to the old stopping grounds where, he did all the thefts and stuff like that.
Oh.
God, that's so stupid. Anyhow. But when he was caught, he certainly squealed like a little rat very quickly and basically threw Anne under the bus by saying, Anne gave me the gun so that I could find someone to kill her mother-in-law. So much for that great former lover there.
No honor among thieves.
No. So Anne was, of course, arrested and thankfully was sentenced to 25 years. Edward was sentenced to 25 years. And Gregory was sentenced to 30 years because he actually did the dirty deed.
Oh, I think that's all fair.
You think that's fair enough?
Yeah.
I mean,
I feel like here in America, the people plotting would get a lot less time.
yes, seems to be the case. Although I do kind of think that Anne should have been up there with Gregory because it all started with her. Edward was just the stupid chap who was in the middle that went and took the gun from Anne and found Gregory. But it was Anne's idea.
I feel like this was the correct amount of time for everybody. I mean, honestly, I think Edward probably should not even get 30. I think life for a life. You should just get life.
What do you mean, Gregory?
Or Gregory.
Gregory's the one who actually committed the act.
You were saying a lot of names. So, yeah. So, Gregory.
And I was screwing them all up. You should have been able to have followed along.
I was too busy laughing. So, yeah. So, Gregory, I feel, life for life, should have gotten life. And then the other two dopes, I think 25 years. I think that's fair for the plot. And by the time...
I don't know. I don't like Anne, so I would have given her 5 more.
Well, okay.
You don't realize that I'm the one who makes the law and the rules in life?
Wait, that's you?
Yeah, it's me. That's been me the whole time. That's why you want to be good friends with me, because I'll take care of you.
Okay, well then I've got some suggestions.
Give me those notes later.
Well, yeah, I'm not going to do it right now.
Okay, good. And give me the names. But give us a positive, upbeat story because, these are true POSs.
They truly are. Okay. Well, this was... Hold on, let me go through my notes here. We're not going to edit any of this out. We're keeping it raw.
Because you weren't prepared for your story?
I was I was just so enthralled with your pronunciation.
Shut up. Wow.
All right, so I know we're running kind of long here, so it's not too long. So this is about Larry Ferris Jr., or Mr. Larry, as the kids call him. And he drives a school...
Say Ferris. Sorry.
God, that's such a dated reference. I barely got that.
Oh, come on. Ferris Bueller is one of the still like transitional generational movies out there. I know 20-year-olds who love Ferris Bueller.
No, you don't.
Yeah, I do actually.
That's questionable.
Continue
They
on.
better not remake that. I swear.
No, they better not. That is one movie that they should never touch. And if they do, I shouldn't say it because it'll be on video. So
Yeah.
I'll go protest that studio.
Yeah, that'll do a lot.
Yeah, thank you.
So he drives a school bus in Louisville, Kentucky, and
Louisville. Sorry. I've been there. You know that?
I've been there. I know everybody. I'm TC.
No, I've been there. I went there to compete in the national competition for Vocational Industrial Clubs of America, VICA. And we won the bronze medal at the national competition.
So you came in last place.
No, there were many schools that were competing. We actually did get a medal at least.
If you're not in first place, you're in last.
Shut up. You're such a Talladega whatever.
Yeah. Well, this happened back in February 2024.
Wow, you kept a lot of things current.
I'm
Both
not picking
stories
the
were
date.
last year.
Yeah, I'm not picking the dates. I'm just picking the people.
Okay.
So Larry, the school bus driver,
Ferris Bueller, yes.
he noticed one of his kids wasn't having the best morning.
Aw.
He was kind of away from his friends and kind of hiding under his jacket. And, he clearly seemed upset. And this little boy's name was Levi.
Okay.
And Larry asked him, what's going on? And he said, practically crying almost. I mean, he was maybe like, I don't know, around 8.
Oh,
something like that, like elementary school age.
School, yep.
Yeah. So he said that today was pajama day, and he did not have pajamas to wear.
Oh,
Yeah.
that sucks.
Yeah, especially as a kid, because, I mean, you
pressure.
stand out.
Yeah, the peer pressure in school.
Yeah, you stand out, and that's what you get picked on for,
Yeah. Just like I was picking on you with your shirt today. Yeah, you're right.
This is an awesome shirt, by the way.
It's okay.
I get compliments quite a bit on my shirt.
From the Blind Institute.
I will take all compliments equally. I don't discriminate, sir.
Okay. Oh, yeah, finally. Sure you don't. Well, anyhow, Levi.
So Levi, he had no PJs. Well, after Larry was done with his morning routes,
You're getting emotional about this, I could tell.
I was once this little boy.
I could see you once were Levi.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I think a lot of people out there were once Levi. So they know
I was cool in school.
that is such a lie.
I was so cool.
If anything, you're a Levi.
Yeah, I was Levi.
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
So
I paid off a kid once in elementary school to have him like me as a friend because he was the popular kid. So I was like, hey, here's $1, dollar coin, which is a big deal. And I think that was in first grade, I think. So Louis Van Hoven was his name. And I was like, hey, I noticed he was the popular kid. Hey, I'll give you this $1 if you be my friend. He did. He became my friend, and we actually were best friends all the way through elementary school. And then once we went to junior high, we
you got that
stopped
dollar
being friends.
worth.
Yeah, I did. It was pretty damn good investment.
What age was this? In
I
your
was
20s?
No, I was in first grade. I was in first grade, you dork. I can't believe it. Oh, gosh. But I was smart enough back then to like size up the whole school and go, who's the popular kid here?
Oh,
And then I paid him off.
you would do well in prison.
Shut up. Continue on.
Or maybe not. So after he was done with his morning route, Larry went to the family dollar store and he picked out a couple pairs of PJs. And he came back to Levi's school and, called him over and presented them to him. And this kid just lit up.
Well, of course. I mean, you don't realize how much for kids, even the smallest things mean so much.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he gave him a big old hug. I mean, it meant a lot to him.
That's awesome.
And, we don't know what the, family situation was.
Right.
So this was kind of a big deal.
Yeah, of course. I mean, there are a lot of stories like this. In fact, I'll be sharing in the next episode my positive story, somewhat along the lines of that. And kids really do, they don't understand at that age the whole world of economics and, mom and or dad, hopefully they have both of them in the house, struggling to make ends meet and whatnot. And make ends meet, and they don't sometimes comprehend. And of course, I had a mom and stepfather who were real estate agents, and it was feast or famine. But I will tell you that while I know at times things were a little tight on the financial side of it, they were always very careful to not, kind of expose that to me so I could grow up and seemingly have a normal childhood. And, I appreciated that. But there are times when you go to school for things like that, and it's like, I'm not going to have that because we couldn't afford it.
Yeah. And again, when you're young, kids are pretty cruel, so they'll pick on you for stupid
They can be
things.
brutal for sure.
Yeah. Oh, you don't have PJs? Oh, you poor? And and that hurts.
Yeah, I won't even share my story of growing up with my name and how brutal kids were. But I will tell you, as I got into high school, it changed, and they were much more like supportive, and even when the teachers would get my name wrong, I would literally have kids in the classroom who correct the teacher on my name before I even did it.
How much did that cost you?
That did not cost me anything. I only made the investment when I was in first grade, and that went all the way through to the 12th grade.
See, if only you used that same wise investment towards Bitcoin, we'd have a pretty nice studio right now. I mean, this is a nice studio, but I mean, like,
wow, yeah, put down the studio. That's great.
like
Mark,
I'm talking like a big.
Mark is offended now. I can tell.
No. I mean, like a big, studio with cameras, and hopefully one day.
I don't know that anybody's going to want to see our ugly mugs, but
I was just gonna wear like a mask or a bag.
God. Anyhow, I think we've wasted these people's time long enough, don't you?
Waste?
No, of course not. I'm joking. But that's all we got for now, though.
Yeah, that's all I got.
Good. Well, in our closing, we want to share that People Often Suck podcast is written and hosted by Tom NTC, believe it or not. Right?
Yeah, I do all my own stunts.
Yes, you do, Tom Cruise. And the podcast is also produced by our amazing and wonderful producer, Mark Wallengren. We love him. And it's recorded here at the Kilroy Was Here recording studios. So thank you for that, and Ryan for helping out on the audio engineering side. So thank you for listening, as always. If there is a story that you think we could talk about in the future, a future episode, please shoot us a message on Facebook, Instagram, or X. because we seriously will look at that. I know that I've had friends who have already shared stories, which one of them will be used in an upcoming episode. So we're
Same here.
Good. Yeah, there you go. And we'll give you credit for it too. So please share with our podcast with your family and friends to help us grow the audience. As always, we appreciate that and thank you in advance for that. And don't forget to like or comment. Until next time, don't become a POS, because you could and possibly may end up on our podcast.